What I will talk about now is the philosophy of Michel and connection of his ideas with educational approach and its relation to the knowledge versus production debate or neoliberalism concept and its influence on today's education. So first of all, I don't know if you heard of Michel Serres. I would like to say just a brief introduction. He's a famous French structuralist, post-structuralist thinker, really known inside France, but really unknown outside of the French-speaking area that is in English speaking area. So Serres is a scientist. He was a scientist first. He finished mathematics. He was involved in physics. And then he entered philosophy, which gives him a hand up in comparing to other postmodernist thinkers that use science and often are criticized about, how would I say, about using science in unrigorous and unscientific manner. So the ideas that Serres provides and that what I like to explore today is they're three. First is separation of scope subjects or the subjects in general. Second is lack of passion for learning or teaching. And third is extreme value put on scientific and engineering employment with simultaneously devaluing arts and humanities. So, Serres is, as Jacques Rancière and Deleuze and most of Foucault, most of postmodernist thinkers, is against such rigorous separation or verification of subjects, as in life, as in school. What he does in his works is trying to make passages from myths to science, from science to literature, from literature to myths, and all around. And how does he thinks that this synthesis, as I would call this, possible? First of all, he emphasized that there is epistemological rupture. It happened during 17th century, maybe 18th, and that epistemological rupture sought to label as irrational everything that was not science or scientific. In response to that, Serres say, and I'm quoting, that science in a way is taking over totality of reason. I maintain that there is as much reason in the works of Montaigne and Verlaine as there is in physics or biochemistry. Reciprocally, as often there is much unreason scattered through the sciences. Reason is distributed everywhere. No one can claim exclusive rights on it. So in very simplified manner, Serres is running counter to the prevalent notion of the two cultures, scientific and humanistic, between which no communication is possible. But in his view, he would say that criticism can be referred as generalized physics, and whether knowledge is written in philosophical, scientific, or literature way, it nevertheless articulates a common set of problems that transcends academic disciplines and artificial boundaries. So when we hear it like this, it could sound like typical narration, typical postmodernist narration, as the critics would say, anything goes, and it works only on paper. But the examples that he used are really how do I say, eye-opening. And he's not only one who talked about this. So you have, I don't know, Einstein, Tesla, even Karl Popper, when he's referring to Newton and Copernic inventions or theories that they made inside physics, there is an interesting relation between myths, literally, and scientific exploration or inventions, which Suarez quite quite well focusing on. Just a second. See. This is first. This verification is connected closely to rational assumption that passages from local to global is always possible. And this is, again, closely related to the methodocentrism. So since the early 19th century, many in the Western world have dreamt of ordering life and reality around the certainty of facts, the predictability of the future, the stability of isolated phenomena, the universalization of mathematical thinking, the necessity of hypothetical deductive thinking. This is the, well, it's probably it starts from Galileo, but it's maybe more clear if we call it Laplacian dream. And for this Laplacian science, the description is objective to the extent which the observer is excluded from the description itself and made from a point lying de jure outside the world. This use has led to the creation of experimental methods in sciences which involve a reduction of natural complexity in order to focus attention on measuring specific aspects or variables of a phenomenon. As a result, Western sciences becomes caught up in a validity of intellectual investigation into the world by factoring out the vicissitudes of the observer entanglement within the world. So these observations come from the philosophy of science, and they are made from the physicist, so not the philosophist. And this is quite common thing in today's philosophy of science. So how is this related to our today's topic and education? Well, Serre is, when we talk about curriculum or education, he first suggests that the word curriculum is wrong, because same as in methodocentrism, it counts for a certain rules that are predefined or that exist before approaching the phenomenon, before approaching the lecture, before approaching the education, emancipation, before approaching to the subject that is educated or emancipated. So what is the problem here is he is not against the methodology, against the method and the existence of methodology, but it's always particular, it's always local, it's always singular. And by following the rules that are already prescribed and predefined, we have less chance to invent. We have less chance to think differently. We have less chance to open different perspectives on certain subjects that do not exist in present time. As Serre would say, the goal of instruction is the end of instruction, that is to say, invention. Invention is the only true intellectual act, the only act of intelligence. The rest, coping, cheating, reproduction, laziness, convention, battle, sleep. Only discovery awakens, only invention proves that one truly thinks what one thinks, whatever that might be. So the point is really clear, and the question is, how can this be implemented in today's education? And we heard today that it's maybe easier when we talk about humanities and education in sciences that are education in humanities, then it would be in natural sciences or sciences, in a way that we heard an example. How could you apply that to engineering? So if you need to open up a different kind of interpretation, then okay, you explore, you open up the possibility for a different kind of interpretation. But if you need to build a car, then there is a set of rules how to build a car. And if one doesn't follow the rules, he won't build a car or won't build a bridge. But that is again objectivation, a kind of objectivation that is already questioned in today's modern science. So the question is wrongly put in, because we do not ask if you don't follow, we do not say if you don't follow these methods, you won't build a car, but we say, okay, here is the present method for doing that kind of thing. Tear it down, find a new one, explore it. In that way, the question here is, how can you, we say that imagination and invention and open up possibilities and perspectives are of the crucial role in educating a subject. How can you form a methodology that will be applicable in practicing imagination? How can you open up possibilities? Okay, you can say this is a standard model and you try to find a new one, but the question is, does it really goes? Second problem is that today education is really deeply controlled by what would, now we move away from Serre and I would go to Michael Apple, by ideologies, and not only ideologies, but economic concepts. And when I say production, I mean in the economic way of distribution. So production would be the same as reproduction, or trying to satisfy economical needs, where education is seen not as a cause for itself, but as a tool to obtain money, power, or whatever gives us some comfort life. So in a way that Apple is agreeing with Serre, this is my parallel, not that he is mentioning him, is that he states that the most important thing we can know about a man is what he takes for granted, and the most elemental and important facts about a society are those that are seldomly debated and generally regarded as settled. If we comment this in a Marxist or even Foucault's approach, in which one should not accept illusions of one epoch, but rather investigate investigator must situate these activities in a larger arena of economic, ideological, and social conflicts. The study of interconnections between ideology and curriculum, and between ideology and educational argumentation, should be come down to three questions. First, how the basic day-to-day regularities in school contribute to the student learning these ideologies. Second, how the specific forms of curriculum knowledge, both in past and now, reflects these configurations. And three, how these ideologies are reflected in the fundamental perspectives of educators themselves employ to order, guide, and give meaning to their own activity. The first of these questions is referring to hidden curriculum in schools. So those curriculums are not the one that are put to paper, but is the way we act, is the way that we are allowed to ask questions or not allowed to ask questions, is the way that we in the past stand up when teachers come in, is the way that we act in school in a different way, and the teachers act too. Second is 5 minutes, okay, thank you. Second one is questioning what is the stuff of the curriculum. And when you're questioning this kind of, when you're questioning the content of education, I would say that it's rather useful to transfer the usual what kind of knowledge is this into a Nietzschean question. Whose type of knowledge is this, or rather who wants this certain type of knowledge to be studied here? And finally, it is the subject that colleague already, we heard it today, that teachers must be aware of ideological and epistemological commitments they subtly accept by working in institutions. So, when we put it here and connect with their ideas with heard, it sounds hard to be possible to implement these ideas in today's education. But actually, reality has a few examples of Finland, Alberta, or even Singapore that are trying in the best way to suppress these, to adopt these ideas and to suppress problems in which education is confronted today. For example, we have, I would again see quotes here. He said, there are thousands of books on teaching that have never served any purpose other than to enable inspectors to terrorize teachers. No amount of teacher training can provide you with specific details about the individual pupils in such and such a class and in such and such time of day. And so the more specific the textbook, the more illusory it is. Interesting thing is that Finland broke up with controlling teachers in 1999. So they have no control over the teachers doing in school. Second is the first 2 years of school, and it's the same, and they start school the same time as we do. They only play and practice imagination if it's in any way possible. And they do not try to use education as a tool in any way that is a neoliberal concept or American concept of no student left behind is trying to promote. To have that concepts in America are adopted in a way that you can measure education success, and you have PISA, standardized tests, to do that. So what is paradoxical is that one who concentrates on invention or on singularities of particular people, particular classes, particular pupils, they have better results. Finland and Estonia are first in Europe, few 2018, 2015, every few years when PISA is testing. And it really opens up a debate. Why are the systems who are trying to promote these kinds of ideas are not so well promoted in the world, and especially in third world countries, which are 10 years late for contemporary educational systems. And I guess that I will end here. I guess that they, in a way, proves us that there are a lot more possibilities of implementing these ideas of imagination, invention, and the localized educational methods than summarizing in a scientific, methodocentric, or neoliberal economic measured educational way. So I would end here.
Thank you.